Two Doctors. Two Doctors. M.R. James short story. No, M.R. James, A Ghost Story for Christmas. Oh, it was like Victorian period into the Edwardian period. Mark Gatiss from A League of Gentlemen, he's done a little biopic about him that was on BBC 4 or BBC 2 recently, and he's written some of his stuff, adapted some of his stories for the screen and directed them. They've been on BBC 2, BBC 4, over the festive periods. For the last 10 years or so, Mark Gatiss's have, but the BBC, I think ITV as well, have been adapting his work for radio and for television for decades now. As I say, he was university don, unbelievably intelligent guy, unbelievably intellectual, and he wrote these little ghost stories as a sideline, as a bit of personal fun, a bit of a private thing for him and his friends, or the young men, the young undergraduates that we'd have back to his halls, back to his rooms, at university each Christmas. This became a great thing if you get invited to one of Montague Rhodes, James, if you get invited to one of his ghost readings, and then you'd all roll about the floor, wrestling after. It's called ragging. Roll about. And he didn't know he was gay. They actually think he was so kind of just a man of the time that he didn't actually realise he was gay, even though he never got married, and he had really intense friendship with very handsome men. So I think that kind of naivety is part of the enjoyment of these stories. That's why I really enjoyed reading them at Christmas. So many people enjoy it. It's always a ghost story for Christmas. I think that British thing as well, where we get strangely nostalgic about the Victorian period, even though it was utterly horrific for most people. All right, if you were rich, it came from a moneyed background, but it was pretty horrific. But for some reason, at Christmas time, we always love Dickens, A Christmas Carol, and that kind of stuff. We love all that, and I think even though these stories are dealing with horrific stuff, like horror stories, basically, a lot of the time, really properly scary, a lot of them, it makes you feel a bit cosy at the same time, in a really strange way that ghost stories can. So, even though I wouldn't call myself something, I don't watch a lot of ghost stories or horror films during the rest of the year, but it gets the festive period, and I'm up for a bit of M.R. James, to the point where my wife quite enjoyed them as well. So I'd got her a book one year, a little collection of his short stories, and eventually, she finished it. But I've been reading a couple of stories from that book every year for the last 4 or 5 years, running about the Christmas period. But this year, no winter break at the football, doing the podcast, and just the Rangers schedule being so intense. The schedule's intense for most clubs. We're in Europe as well, the new extended group stage, and I find myself not really having the time. And you're doing that thing where you're picking up the phone, you go to bed, but you're still sitting with the phone, looking at it. We're all addicted to our phones these days, but particularly when there's so much happening at Rangers, try to find out who we're signing and doing the podcast, and folk are getting in touch and that, and it's great fun. You're constantly, you're talking to your mates and that about the games as well. But it's resulted in it being, kind of into mid-January and now early February before I've got around to just reading a couple of them and ticking them off. I've been ticking them off over the years. I've got about 7 or 8 still to read, just in this particular collection. But I read one, was it last weekend, the weekend before, the Two Doctors, it was called, and I was like, I don't really get it. It's interesting. You get the wee chills, and there's definitely something spooky going on here, but I'm not quite sure what's happening. It's a really short one as well. It's like about 6 or 7 pages long. But luckily, there's this thing called A Podcast to the Curious, one of M.R. James's more famous ghost stories, as a warning to the curious. So it's a pun on that, A Podcast to the Curious. And it's a couple of guys who seem pretty intellectual themselves, younger guys, a bit posh, a bit middle class, a bit southeast England. I think they've beat the Oxford, I think they're Oxbridge types, but they're trying to come across kind of jokey and banterish and all that. But the earliest of these podcasts is going back to like 2010, 2011. They started this thing really early. And they're covering not just M.R. James, but other writers of ghost stories, covering Dickens and all that as well, his spookier stuff. So there's a lot of pods on this. It's been a lot of work, and they really thoroughly investigate every story. And they'll go to the towns that they think the stories that took place in, because a lot of that Victorian writing style where they'll put in the name of a town, but just put the capital letter, the initial in, and then a line. So it's really weird. Like, they won't put in real life locations, but they'll hint at what that location is. I think it's to keep up the mystery, to keep you kind of believing in it by not spelling it out. It's good. That's quite interesting. But so they work out where it might have been filmed. They go to various hotels and castles and posh houses that have been mentioned. This could be that graveyard could be here, and they'll get photographs taken and stuff. It's good. It's really interesting. But the thing I really like about it is the fact that when I read an M.R. James short story, I'm thinking, not really getting that bit. It's like watching a podcast about the football, for example. If you've just watched a football match that turned into a fucking horror story, you might want to get a second opinion for somebody else, just even to hear a second opinion in the game. So I do the same with that, and they'll tell you, no, that bit is, I don't actually understand what's going on there. And they're intellectuals, and they'll bring out like other references and what have you. They've got other works that's on M.R. James that also express confusion at certain things he's said. So he's not the best writer in the world of stories. I don't think M.R. James. It's just a once a year, that particular time of year, that you can enjoy stuff. So it's quite good to get reassured on that front by guys like, no, that wasn't very well written. That was a bit confusing. Don't really get what he means here. I think he's doing this and that, and it's nice. So I read Two Doctors, and I'm straight on that podcast. I got through it so quickly. I was quite chuffed. I thought, I can knock out another one. I can get maybe a third one read this year, because I'm running out of time, obviously, and I can get maybe that whole book finished before I die. But I thought I can't move on. I've got a few questions, but I need to, and I had to listen to the podcast to the curious, and there's a good hour long pod on it anyway, to find out what they thought of the Two Doctors, and it turns out it's some people think it's the worst story that M.R. James ever wrote, and practically everybody agrees that it is the most oblique, it is the most kind of indecipherable. You don't really know what's going on, and the bit that got me, it's about these two doctors. One's called Dr. Abel, and the other one's called amazingly Dr. Quinn. I just immediately thought about Jane Seymour and Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, but there's stuff going on. Like Dr. Abel seems like he's trying to practice the dark arts, but he talks to a rector or a guy, a priest or something, the local, churchman, the local clergy guy. They stay in what's actually, I think it's Islington. Is it Islington? Aye, but it's back before Islington was a massive part of London that it is. It was like a wee village, with lots of very bucolic, that kind of thing. Lots of countryside round about it, just a village basically. So he's having these conversations, but they keep calling it Doctor, but I'm forgetting and realising, oh no, whatever, the rector or something, he's a doctor as well. He's a doctor of divinity or something. So he's a doctor, and it's doctor this, doctor that. I couldn't understand their conversation, a lot of them. But there's this whole thing with a bed staff. Is that a bed staff? And nobody knows what a bed staff is. They think it's something that was to hold down sheets, keep sheets tucked in posh people's houses in the days before bed sheets were elasticated. And one of the servants is leaving Dr. Abel's service because this there was an incident with the bed staff, and I'm thinking, did he shove it up your? No, what's happened here? No, we think he's maybe tried to he's made it move without anybody touching it, because he's been practicing the kind of telekinesis and dabbling in the dark arts, but it never really gets explained. And then the ending, it's just so flat. It's really obscure. It's trying to tie up a lot of things. It's quite oblique. I'll let you read it if you want to. If you want to read it there, I'm like, oh, that's just. I was getting a slight sense of what was going on, but that is just taking it away, because his stories, M.R. James stories, are famous for the endings. There's a real twist at the end. Just kind of horrifying endings, or the explanation is really to the point and just leaves you go, oh my god, and you go away with a cold sense of dread and thorough entertainment. But it wasn't happening with this one at all. And I listened to their podcast, and they were saying what it was, and I think I can help. They didn't understand the thing with the beds, and there's a bit with like bed sheets that turn out to actually have been like the winding cloth from a coffin that have been cleaned, and then a guy's using them as his bed sheets, and they kind of close around them. I'm thinking, maybe that was the bed staff. Maybe the incident with the bed staff was anyway. To do with sheets, the guy's done this before, but it kills the other doctor, or he dies for other reasons, but he's kind of enshrouded in these bed sheets. Anyway, I've got theories about that, and I'm going to get in touch with him, because I have to get this off my chest before I can move on and read another one of his stories. But they were explaining on the pod that a few, scholars, MR James scholars, think that it was part of it was such a short story because it was from when he actually get persuaded to put his stories together and put them in a book, put them in a little collection of his short stories, a wee anthology, because of the whole pages thing. There's a certain in books there's a certain amount of spare pages at the back of the book because it's the way they make books, the pages are double sided. You've got to you've got to fill up a certain number of pages. So it was for filler basically. It just needed one short story. There was like 8 spare pages in this book they were doing. We just need a wee one. So he just wrote it. It wasn't for delivering to a crowd. It wasn't for the young men that we bring back to his halls. It was just how you do it. This is the short story, and it has to work with an audience. It has to be really clear what he's meaning, even though he's trying to make it all mysterious and spooky. But they're kind of bit at the end, and they get a bit, hold me please, Monty. I've got the chills, whatever. This one wasn't like that. So I think he's tried to be even more oblique. It was just written. It was just to be read. And that's why it didn't have the kind of punchy bit at the end. And it's disappointing, I think, when somebody that you really enjoy their work and you really find them really entertaining. And although some of the stuff they do is quite mysterious, it always works out in the end. I think it's quite a bit of a dissy when you're thinking it might turn out. Why is he not doing the usual stuff? Why is he no putting in the bits? That I would. Why is he not fielding the players, for example, that I would expect him to be putting onto the pages of this story that I'm reading, the story that seems to be going so well, all the previous chapters, all the previous short stories have been working, but the collection maybe isn't coming together tonight as beautifully as we'd want it to, and I need somebody to explain it to me, and maybe it will be Sunday before we can find out exactly what was going on. Well, I get rid of the Celtic fans. That's going to get rid of the Celtic. That's not going to get rid of any ambulance chasers. But anyway, folk, this is your fat ache immediate post. Everybody talks about how long it is since we've lost at Fir Park. It's a bit like Easter Road in that sense. No, Rangers haven't lost in the top flight at Fir Park since, is it 2006 or something at Easter Road, and it's 23 years at Fir Park. But not only does that miss out the times that we get gubbed 4-0, for example, in one game that I can think of at Easter Road in the Championship, when us and Hibs were both in the Championship, and you get that time. We never played Motherwell in the lower leagues as such, but we almost got Motherwell relegated into the low. Well, we never almost got them relegated. We met them in the playoff, the promotion relegation playoff into the top flight when we were still in the Championship, and they scalped us home and away. So there was no danger of them ever getting relegated, but they scalped us home and away. They scalped us at Fir Park in the second leg of that. That gets missed out. But more than that, this whole thing, like we Hibs at Easter Road, it's so long since Rangers lost here in the top flight. It's so long that misses out all the times that we drew there, and drawing at these venues is like a defeat for Rangers. I was at Fir Park when we beat Gretna at Fir Park. Remember 2007-2008 season? We beat Gretna at Fir Park. I think we only played them once away, Gretna, that season, because they wouldn't have finished in the top 6. And absolutely nobody's going to dare say this time, this season, for example, 2 draws here at Fir Park this season. It's 3 in a row for us at Fir Park. We haven't won at Fir Park for 2 years. We've drawn our last 3 games, and about 2 of them are this season. Nobody would be daft enough, particularly at this moment in time, when feelings are still a bit raw, to say that it's actually one of the better seasons to be getting draws. It's actually maybe a bit of an achievement to get a draw at Fir Park this season. Nobody's going to be daft enough. Danny Röhl, the head coach of Rangers, has just said that. Reaction pod coming to you in association with Gersnet. Check out Gersnet live on the Gersnet YouTube channel every Friday 9 PM, every Sunday 9:30 PM. I'm sponsored by Gersnet. I'm also sponsored by that Betfair advert about safer subs. No, because no the Ladbrokes advert, no the William Hill advert, no the the lottery advert, no the bingo advert. Just endless gambling adverts when the fit was. No, it's the safe subs, Betfair safe subs. It's no because we made very unsafe substitutions tonight, and no because of the klaxons singing "It's not over, it's not over, it's not over." Yeah, and that's they use that in the advert because obviously it's not over. Whatever it is you think isn't over, it's not over that we're going to have a bad season. It's not over that we're going to not win the league. I don't know what, but it's obviously not over. But it's because of the dissociated lipstick-covered, overtly feminine mouth that's in the middle. No, it's just it's disconnected from anything else. It's in a sea of black within the substitute board. The substitute board in that kind of CGI, AI, horrible Betfair advert. The guy puts up the substitute. It's all about substitutes, but it's just a pair of lips in the centre of that numbers board. It's fucking admin, just admin, marketing people. They really are plagiarising scum. You know, it's genius that steals. You're barely talented. Never mind. How dare you use Samuel Beckett's Not I? Samuel Beckett's 1972 play monologue, Not I, written in the spring of 1972. Just the Rangers are on their way to winning the Cup Winners' Cup and all European trophy, and Samuel Beckett writes Not I for Hello, Hello, we are the Billy Whitelaw boys. For Billy Whitelaw, and it's just a mouth. You've got to stand about 8 feet above the stage. There's a big thing goes in front of the actress. I've never seen it live. I've seen a few Beckett things live, but I've never seen this one. And it's just the lights go off, and all you can see is one light shining. She puts her mouth through this board that's in front of her, and there's a hole cut out in it, and it's all black, and you can just see her teeth and her tongue. And her lips have got lipstick on them, and that's where they're getting the fucking advert. That's where they're putting into an advert to get folk addicted to gambling. Oh, it's just like the flower duet from Lakme being used by British Airways. Remember the flower duet from Delib? It was a British Airways advert. It gets people in touch. It lets people, get in touch with a bit of culture if they're getting it through the adverts in the telly. But they jazzed it up, didn't they? They jazzed it up, British Airways. They brought out another version of the advert with the Delib music, and they made it was their music almost, and they jazzed it up. And this time they did the same music, just, and they did the big thing in the desert in Utah where it was lots of people shot from above, shot probably from a British Airways plane. And they were all that thing when if you're seen from above, you can make a figure. Like 25 people form themselves into the letter H, that kind of thing. But this time it was a face they were making. There was a nose, there was ears. Not I. There was but the very first thing that they showed you was a woman's mouth. They made close up on a woman's lipstick lips as she's swimming, and then it cuts to the people being filmed from above that have got together to make a massive mouth, but it's a feminine mouth done in lipstick. Not I. It's I've seen it all before. These kind of cheap imitations. Give us the original. No, oh wait. The last time we actually won the league, we had a really close, ropey win over Motherwell in about November, December, and then we went to Fir Park and we drew one each. So it's all going to be fine. It's all going to be absolutely fine. My name's Alec Anderson. Scratch my leg with a rusty nail. Sadly, it heals. Colour my hair, but the dye runs out. I can't seem to stay a fixed ID. I have crawled so far sideways, I recognize dim traces of creation. I wanna die in the summertime. I wanna die. It's annoying, isn't it? When I've missed out a verse. That's what advert people do. That's what ad men do. That's what marketing people do. Commercials. That's what they do. They truncate it, don't they? They clip it all down. They can't even use the original art properly. They just try to squeeze it all in to suit the time that they want to use it, the purposes they want to. They ruin the art by truncating it, by not letting it breathe, by keeping it on the bench or subbing it off early. That's why they ruin these things. My name's Alec Anderson, and I am talking to you after Rangers chucked the league. That's it. This is the night we lost the league title. It really isn't, is it? But this time, I'm talking to you after Rangers drew one each with Motherwell in the SPFL Premiership this Wednesday evening. One each Motherwell at Fir Park. This time last week we had a pretty bad weekend, but by Monday the transfer window had worked out not too bad for us. And then on Tuesday night, Hearts conceded a late goal to St Mirren and Paisley. And then on Wednesday night, Celtic had their game postponed really late, just before we went out and absolutely thrashed Kilmarnock quite comprehensively, and we all felt absolutely fantastic. Whereas this time, Hearts on Tuesday night have scored a late winner. I'm like, oh, that's good. And after Celtic themselves scored an injury time winner on the Wednesday night, we've conceded an equaliser to, I think the guy actually, I think he's signed for, I think he's a Celtic player, a Celtic loanee, to draw with 10 men, so this is kind of, it's not exactly, it's not as nice as we'd hoped it was going to be this week. It's like it swings and roundabouts. This is the way it goes. You want an exciting title race? This is how it works. Sometimes you feel fantastic, other times you feel absolutely crap. Last Wednesday night, Danny Röhl was shocked by the way we booed the team off at half time at 1-0 up against 10 men. This Wednesday night, we are shocked at how he's rotated the team at 1-0 up versus 10 men. This is the night we lost the league. This, folks, the last time we won the league, I say we drew at Fir Park. We drew at Easter Road. We drew at Hamilton, St Johnstone, Livingston. We went in the season unbeaten. It was a bit different, but it just doesn't necessarily within itself mean that we've had a bad. I mean, Celtic did lose the last time they went to Fir Park. Doesn't it count because it was Wilfried Nancy? It counts as far as the league table is concerned. So this is why I was doing the insurance thing. This is why I wasn't that gutted in my preview pod about the fact that Hearts had won last night. This is the insurance policy I was talking about. Well, we're conceding late equalisers. Celtic and Hearts are scoring late winners. If it's not going to be us, I'm kind of glad almost that Hearts are 5 points clear, because it means they're clear of Celtic as well. We're conceding late equalisers. Celtic and Hearts are scoring late winners. We haven't won away for 3 straight games. And we only won at Pittodrie and Parkhead because they were both in managerial turmoil at the time. Now we think about it, isn't it? That's the only reason that we won those games at Parkhead and Pittodrie. Celtic are scoring late winners with their kind of new out-of-contract veteran panic buy signing. We won't even let our thoroughly scouted, thoroughly vetted, and option to buy, or basically permanently signed mid-20s, millions of quid spent on them signings off the bench, even for the last 10 minutes. Some of them, it's not as bad as that, but this is Danny Röhl's first proper setback, I would say, Troops, isn't it? It's the first moment we think, yeah, this is all on you, Danny. Sorry. I think we can still kind of separate comfortably our chance to win this season's title, which has been gifted to us by a combination of Celtic under Wilfried Nancy, basically the Celtic board signing Wilfried Nancy as manager, and then the Celtic support turning on the board and just creating various ructions. A combination of that and also Danny Röhl arriving, getting picked for the job at the end of October, and being absolutely remarkable for us for most of the season. But I think we can comfortably separate our chances of winning this season's title from assessing Danny Röhl's job as Rangers head coach. It's the last season that's going to be the case. If he's got a whole season, it's like you win the league or you're failing. But this horrible night was about the way we lost the 2 points. But there is still a great argument to say it was a valuable point. One, you just won't hear it tonight. This is the night that we lost the league. It might be the night Danny Röhl's bid to win the 2025-2026 league title kind of fell off the rails, but Danny Röhl will never be the man who lost us the title this season. That was Russell Martin, and while this may look now like Philip Clement's title bid from 2 years ago, it isn't. Because this isn't Ross County and Dingwall. This isn't Dundee at Dens Park. We're dropping points tonight. We're the first team to score versus Motherwell at Fir Park since the 18th of October, though. And they've only lost one of their last 17 games, Motherwell, and that was to us. That was to us at Ibrox. It's a bit different. It feels the same as Clement. And Philip Clement took over in October that season as well, and did really well to get us to the point where we looked like we could win the league. He got us top of the actual table and kept us there for a few games as well. And then it just got totally lambasted for not being able to keep it going, which was a bit out of order. Following season, it did go to pieces for him eventually. But I think it's a bit different for Danny Röhl this time. It makes sense that if we do win the league this season, it will be painful. And we will, as I keep saying, probably go top in the very last day. I think if not actual, physics, metabolism demands that our second title in 15 years, just second title in 15 years, when we were 8th in the league in October, will be squeezed out like a hedgehog. Motherwell lost 4-1 to St Mirren at Hampden in November. And they're having a fantastic season. When you're not used to having fantastic seasons, there will be wee setbacks along the way. It's not going to go smoothly, and it certainly doesn't tonight. And that like lack of smoothness, the kind of surprise that the rocky road started with the announcement of the starting 11, and I'm watching on Sky going, it comes up the left hand side of the screen. It's always in front of players, images of the players getting off the bus or walking up into the dressing room at whatever stadium. And I'm going, that no, I wasn't expecting. I mean, it's very familiar, but somehow I was expecting we'd worked ourselves up into a frenzy, hadn't we, of expecting almost all 4 new signings for January window signings, plus the newly rehabilitated Oliver Antman to be starting, but to be more involved in the actual playing of the game tonight. We got. I mean, I did start last night when I was doing my predicted starting 11 in my preview pod. I did start saying I thought Jaden Magoma could be more battle hardened than Tour Romans. The manager might see it, the head coach might see it, that Jaden Magoma, having played so many games recently, having played at left back, because he's knowing the Scottish game much more, he'd be more battle hardened than Tour Romans, who's just come on as a sub against 10-man Kilmarnock after they've been beaten up for an hour by the rest of the team, and he's played against the team at the bottom of the Championship in Queen's Park. This is a hard venue this season for a properly hard venue this time, so he might not be quite ready for that. But I just kept thinking about how Tour Romans was passing the ball in those 2 games. I thought there's no way he can't play him. Well, he was on the bench. Tour Romans and Jaden Magoma did start. I thought the whole idea of getting Tour Romans in was that Jaden Magoma was obviously going to be knackered because he's not had a break. We don't have another left back at the club. Maybe he got the first hour off against Queen's Park. He's a young man, 19-year-old man, but that's usually when they need a break most as well at the early part of their career, footballers. But anyway, it was Jaden Magoma was starting. The manager did start. I'll just go through the team. The first, it was Jack. You probably recognise it. It's Jack Butland in goals, James Tavernier, the captain, at right back, Jaden Magoma at left back. It was Nasser Djiga and John Souttar at centre half. I got the midfield 3 that I wanted. I don't even know if they were a midfield 3. I don't know if we're playing 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. But we've got Tochi Chukwani, one of the January signings, Diamandi and Raskin. And then we had JD Gassama. He was on the right-hand side, and Mikey Moore was on the left-hand side in attack, and it was Yusuf Chermiti. He was back up front. Now, some of us have thought maybe he'll play Chermiti and Ryan Nadiri, the new signing from Hansa Rostock, who scored a couple of goals against Queen's Park on Saturday, looked very busy with game 1 against Kilmarnock last Wednesday night. But I don't think any of us, we thought it was more likely to be Nadiri himself that was playing up front than the manager. The head coach, Danny Röhl, did say, as soon as I did the press conference yesterday, I find out that he's on the bench, Nadiri, but he must have had a twinge. He must have been something up with him that he couldn't start the game. So Yusuf Chermiti, who's had 7 stitches put in his foot, but he's got over that. Obviously, he starts again, and he's certainly plenty of experience with us this season, Yusuf Chermiti. But it was just a kind of, it was 3 of the 4 new signings and Big Fernandez, Manny Fernandez, who we're expecting to come back in, our set-piece specialist. He's been injured as well, though. They remained on the bench, and as did Oliver Antman. Now, I think the Antman one, I can understand why Oliver Antman's not. He did really well, scored his first goal for Rangers off the bench against Kilmarnock. He came off the bench against Porto as well the previous Thursday. He's played and got an assist on Sunday against Queen's Park. So he's getting plenty of game time. He's getting back to full match fitness, and he's looking a lot better. And he's been telling us how he's feeling a lot more comfortable in the news, basically since Russell Martin's left, and he's feeling a lot better. But it's just a combination of none of these players appearing just seemed to puzzle us. And I thought maybe, it's like a 2-tier kind of squad deployment by Danny Röhl on the pitch, just in the same way there was a 2-tier kind of tifo deployment by the Bears in the big away stand, the old Motorola stand. They're smashing looking tifo. I don't know, talking of ghost stories, why it's so dark in that Motorola stand. When Celtic get beat 2-0 under Wilfried Nancy earlier this season, I did make a point of watching the highlights on Sportscene that night, and I thought, have they switched the lights off on them? And that's the Celtic fans of the Green Brigade protesting by switching after the access lights and all that in the stairs. There is lights on in it. I saw a few wide shots that there is lights on, and it's like, but it seems like pitch black. You could hardly see anybody, just a mass of humanity in the dark, and that's kind of quite appropriate by how we all felt at the end of the game. But the massive tifo from the Union. Fight for glory every game. Fight for glory every game. I mean, that's what we're just telling them what we want them to do, and it's continuing to not happen. It is happening. It's just not as quickly as we'd like it to. And I thought it was that 2-tier squad deployment. He's going to bring on the guys that are more experienced, that will know how Motherwell's going to start the game, that have been playing this level of football for a few months, this environment for a few months. Scott Olsen, I did say, I was quoting Joshua Barry for Rangers Review yesterday, how we can't afford not to start him. We can't afford not to start. I thought that was a great quote. That's how I was feeling about it. I felt as if Scott Olsen has to play. We can't worry about his match fitness anymore. He's fit enough, but I can see why Danny Röhl don't want to risk them starting the game. Maybe the players that have been playing all season that are at the pace, that have got the pace of SPFL Premiership football. Oliver Antman was explaining how it's a really difficult league, really different league to, for example, the Eredivisie. So no matter what level you're playing at, it's a quite unique league, especially if you're Rangers. The way teams will come at us as well. So these guys are going to go there and they'll absorb the pace. They'll take the hits early doors. They know how to look after themselves. They'll know how to match and kind of wear down the opposition as much as we're getting worn down. And then, early in the second half, he usually starts making substitutions around about 53rd minute, doesn't he, Danny Röhl? You'll get, if we don't actually make any at half time, he'll start making a few subs, bring on the new boys in as well. And Chukwueze is playing. He's a new guy. So maybe that was how it was going to work. And I got my wish for that midfield three. I did the midfield three. I think it was more 4-3-3 than 4-2-3-1. So, and it got more exciting, I have to be honest, with the way the game started. I'm thinking, and you're probably thinking this as well, there was two things we thought could be going on. Is Raskin playing 8? Is Raskin pushed up because of the way Chukwueze and Diamande with their Nord-Zealand telepathy acting as kind of holder and 6 and 8. The two of them were just a midfield crux, a midfield core that was like a wee cyclone spinning all over the park against Queen's Park at the bottom of the Championship. But it looked like they were forming a relationship anyway, and they have got one because they played together for a few years in North Zealand and Denmark. And I thought they are so good. I didn't think we could drop either of them, but I knew we'd have to get Raskin back into the team. I started thinking over the last couple of days, are we going to maybe use them as a base so finally we can get to see Raskin pushing up? He's not a 6. We know he's not a 6. And I thought that's what it was, but at the same time I'm thinking, is Mikey Moore going to 10? Is Mikey Moore actually playing at 10? Because that's something else we're all wanting to see. But it was because the two of them look like each other. I've been saying this, the one bit of vindication I got tonight was, because of these specs, and the prescription definitely needs changing, they're definitely past it, or my eyes are past it, more like it. I've been saying how I keep getting Mikey Moore and Nico Raskin mixed up. They're two wee, young, stocky guys. They seem to, and the socks kind of rolled down the two of them. They're both very jinky, for want of a better phrase. And they've got the 40s. They've got the 43 and 47 as a squad number. So it's a big 40-odd number on his back. He's quite kind of, he's not the tallest, not tiny, but not the tallest, but wide, properly wide, and really fast and sharp and dribbly. The two of them, I'm getting them mixed up. So when we scored that goal tonight, it was basically we started the game, a blue-grey kit. When you see that blue, that kind of, it's grey and charcoal with kind of light blue trim. It's a horrific kit. We very rarely get a good result in that kit, or all our worst results have come in that kit, should I say. That's never that, and the darkness and the away end. It wasn't good vibes. That and the starting 11 wasn't giving us good vibes. The second minute, it's a pure free kick from Tav. But the third or fourth minute, Motherwell's first real attempt at kind of breaking on us, attacking us. Oh, I thought it was going to be like this for the whole game. I was seriously excited. We swarmed them. It's about 3 or 4 minutes into the game. Watch it back if you must. We swarmed them. They're breaking from the edge of their own box, just getting towards the halfway line. And we seem to have about 15 players that suddenly went whoom all over Motherwell's kind of 4 interpassing, moving together at the same kind of speed up the park players. And there was a foul went in there, and they were bitterly complaining as we fouled them, but I thought, we're not messing about tonight. We're going to dominate. We're going to stop them dominating the midfield. That's Motherwell's thing. They dominate the midfield. We're going to go in there and we're going to dominate it ourselves. We're not going to let them get anywhere. This is going to be fantastic. That's why Danny Röhl has picked the starting 11 he has, and then Motherwell's have a shot on goal. You have a wee shot. They save. There's a great save from Jack Butland at an angle, and we then play the ball out. And it's beautiful football. It's just beautiful football. This is about the 6th or 7th minute. We play absolutely fantastic football, and it's daring football. Jens Berto Askew, very excitable post-match reaction from him on Sky tonight, getting a bit nasty, getting a bit slanderous. I thought, accusing us of trying to break the game up and all that. We were. Accusing us of putting a foul on them a lot. We were. And saying that they were braver, Motherwell were braver because of the football they played. I mean, the one guy sent off on the most vicious tackle the whole night, and they were booting Mikey Moore up and down the park all night. They weren't exactly holding back themselves at Motherwell, but it was a kind of nasty edge. There was a lot of kind of bad patter after the game, that kind of moralistic stuff about how the game's played and all that. Well, the football we were bloody playing at this point in time was absolutely lovely. Something maybe did too much. It's playing the ball out from defence. There was no lumping it at all at this point in time. Motherwell coming forward for the first time in the game. A save from Jack Butland, wee bit of passing about, his centre halves, and the Motherwell players are right on top of us, but we are playing it out from our box, round about them, and then it ends up with Diamandi. Is Diamandi doing this 10 thing, or is he being a 6 that's advancing? Is he being a proper 8? I don't know, but then Raskin's in front of him, or somebody's in front of him, a short, stumpy kind of guy with 40 something on his back is in front of him. Chermiti makes a great distracting run to the other side of the box as Nico Raskin, it turns out, goes in. Fantastic run, and Diamandi puts a lovely ball through to him. It lands at the penalty spot, I think, that Raskin gets to it, and just dinks it over the goalkeeper's outstretched leg and below his starfished arm, and it just rolls into the net. It's a fantastic goal. And Ian Crocker says, "It's Mikey, no, it's Nico Raskin." And after the ball's back in it, he just goes up, Nico Raskin. It was the street that the council will be out to kind of rebuild the whole infrastructure of this street after I jumped up in the air in the living room at the same time as Nico Raskin was jumping up to. I'm assuming we've still got that little strip of Rangers fans in that wing, that little strip wing of the main stand that's over closest to the David Cooper stand at Fir Park that you still always get. I think it's still because it's from the celebrations of both goal scorers tonight, both going to that same bit. I'm assuming there's some Rangers fans in there, but it was phenomenal. And then you could hear the bells giving it, Mikey. Moore, Mikey, Moore. And I'm like, I get him. It's actually Nico Röhl when he's been started singing. About 30 seconds later, it was, oh, no, Nico Raskin. I'm like, I'd get mixed up as well. So had Ian Crocker. It would look like Mikey Moore. But no, you've seen Nico Raskin going that far forward in that kind of way. And I thought, this is exciting. This is really exciting. We're going to take them to pieces. That's beautiful football. And that was it. I said we'd score in the 4th minute. I said in the preview pod we'd score in the 4th minute, and it'd be 2 Romans, and then we'd have to hang on for the entire game, and it'd be a really long night. Well, I was right in that respect. 2 Romans not even getting on the park at any point tonight. Motherwell then pound us possession wise. They moved the ball so well, but we kind of grouped behind it. Motherwell are really good. They were fantastic, really impressive. Motherwell. The way they play football is good to watch, and they totally outplayed us for long periods of the game. But we're doing that thing of still kind of moving like a swarm, going towards the ball all the time, a bit like we won the second half at Parkhead, a watered down version of that. Diamandi gets booked. Jack Butland has a few wobbles, but we generally defend all the balls Motherwell put in and try to play football. But when Motherwell have the ball, we foul them. We foul them a lot. There's a lot of fouls going on just outside our box as well. There's a price to pay for this. It's not like we're getting away with it, as their manager was later making out. They're getting to free kicks on our goal all the time. They've got a lot of them too. Diamandi fouled somebody again, and we shot it. We thought he was going to get sent off. Nico Raskin's over there talking to Stephen McLean, the referee, and it seemed to work. 26th minute, Tav plays us into trouble, but Slattery can't play in Maswanisi. 27th minute, O'Donnell plays him in again with a ball over the top. Butland pushes him wide, and he makes a great save from an angle. Maswanisi has a shot from an angle. Really tight angle, which was given as a by kick, and it was clearly a save from Jack Butland, and a good one too. But they're coming, getting much closer. McGinn and Welsh at the back post, it's one of these free kicks that Motherwell are getting. As I say, it's not that we don't pay a price for the fact that we have to foul them. They float a free kick to the back post, and it's played across the front of the goal with one of those kind of bounce hitch kick things. It's not quite connected, but it's bounced in the 6-yard box. It goes right up towards the back, and it's Nico Raskin with McGinn and Welsh right on top of him. You think there's no way that's a goal. This is Motherwell's scored, and Nico Raskin, we know he's good in the air, but Jesus, how he did that, I'll never know. This backward header clearance, it's a foul given against him. The two of them seem to have powered him into the back of the net, but how he won that head, it was, you think, oh, maybe we're going to be fine. It was a fantastic clearance, but we're certainly under pressure. Chermiti gets a finger in his eye from McGinn up in the Motherwell, or near the Motherwell box. It's not a foul. A foul's not given. I think it was accidental, but he goes down, Big Youssef, to give us our first kind of respite since we scored the goal. Other than that, there's a Chukwueze shot from the edge of the box. It kind of goes about a yard left of the post, but it's basically a half hour, or we're over the half hour mark, so it's probably 25 minutes that Motherwell have been absolutely pounding us, and this is the first kind of break we get, is Chermiti getting attended to for a non-existent injury. Djiga's obviously been picked for his pace. Nasser Djiga's, I was going to say, I don't know if I did mention this in my preview pod. I'm really self-conscious about the preview pod tonight, and it's because so much was so different from what I thought it was going to be. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I thought when I was talking about how Danny Röhl is bringing on so many players, and just quietly, that's why I don't want to write off Asgard, because he's, people coming back to their best form. It doesn't really happen in a smooth curve, but Jade Magoma, he's went from bomb scare to mainstay, and it's been phenomenal, and he's just almost like kind of rehabilitating players after the trauma of them arriving in the middle of the meltdown with Thelwell and Russell Martin. And I said, well, Nasser Djiga just quietly had a few good games. I know it's against Kilmarnock with 10 men in Queen's Park, and he had a few shaky moments against Porto, but he wasn't responsible for any of the goals we conceded over in Porto. It's just quietly, this is what happens. Suddenly players are doing really well that you'd thought just shouldn't be anywhere near the first team. And I thought, well, Nasser Djiga's, it's quite, but I would expect it to be Fernandes was playing tonight, but I could see he's been picked for his pace. Mashmanisi, the top goal scorer in the league. Motherwell have got the top scorer. He scored 13 goals in the Premiership this season. I think Tav's your top scorer with 13 in all competitions, and he's played in a lot of competitions this season, Tav. But Mashmanisi's got 13 in the league alone for Motherwell, and he is an electric pace merchant. So Motherwell can do to us what we did to them with our opening goal if we've got Djiga on it. And there was a couple, one time in particular where he seemed to be a ball over the top. We're pushing up high. He's in behind us, but Djiga could get back there and cover him. So maybe that's why he's been picked instead of Fernandes. 35 minutes, Chermiti has a double miss. It's a Tav long ball. Mikey Moore, from deep in their own half, cross field. Mikey Moore looking like he might be in the 10 position, but he goes up for a header. And I think it comes off the Motherwell player onto the back of Mikey Moore's head again. And the ball goes, anyway, Youssef, he kind of intercepts a poor Motherwell defending clearance. It kind of comes off the defender, comes back to him, and he's basically clean through. He's basically one-on-one with the goalkeeper in the Motherwell box. He just kicks it straight at the goalkeeper. I mean, he hits it a volley, and it's a clean volley he hits, but it's straight at the Motherwell goalkeeper, who can't hold it because it's so close to him, so it bounces back off him, and Chermiti gets another shot at it, and I think this one comes off a defender. It's like, you've got to score. You've just got to score at that point in time if you're going to be a striker. We know why it probably was meant to be Nadiri who was playing, but he's obviously not fully fit. But it's just all Motherwell again after that. We can't get near them. In midfield, the Swarm has been hit by some kind of Lanarkshire pesticide, probably a kind of hangover from Ravenscraig, some toxic in the air or something like that. But 40 to 42 minutes, we start getting fouled a bit ourselves in midfield. One free kick sees Chermiti kind of seemingly brought down really weirdly, but two Motherwell players challenging him from behind, and one of them goes on his legs. He's so big, Chermiti, that this guy kind of sits almost on his calves. It seems to bring him down from behind. But Chermiti's maybe already picking up a bit of reputation as diving or whatever, so he wasn't getting it. There was no chance of him getting a penalty for that. I don't think it was anyway, but he goes down really comically slowly in the Motherwell box. Raskin gets booked for a foul as Motherwell break down our flank. He has to take the guy out. He's been handling Stephen McLean really well, but you can't do anything about this. So he's been booked as well now. 45 minutes. It's manic defending in our boxes. Motherwell kind of bust through our midfield again, as if it isn't there, really. And John Souttar goes to ground twice. The ball hits his arm at one point, but it is accidental. But he just it just goes right into where his arm's sitting on the ground, as if he's holding on to it. You're worried that we were going to concede a penalty there, but the main worry as we go in at half time is that Diamandi and Raskin, I can't see them avoiding a second yellow in the second half, but at the same time, I can't see how we survive the second half without the two of them on the pitch. We surely need more goals to draw this game, never mind win it. And really has the Motorola end looked darker, as I was saying, but it's lucky that we can hear it so clearly. Elliot Watt goes off for Motherwell. He is not fully fit, apparently, as he's back from injury or something. So he goes off, which is phenomenal because he's been brilliant for Motherwell. And Livingston equalise against Celtic at Parkhead. They've kicked off quarter of an hour earlier than us, Celtic, and just kind of forgetting that they're playing. They scored a goal early on against Livy that gets announced, obviously, when we were watching this game. And they've equalised. Livingston have equalised against Celtic, and that just it's raising. Even then, I felt, well, Celtic are going to go straight back up the park and score again and probably score another 4. And I just don't know how we're going to hang on against Motherwell here. So I didn't get too excited about it. But for 45 to 50 minutes, the first 5 minutes of the second half, Moore dispossesses somebody at the halfway line and he sends in Chermiti. He goes kind of wide in the box, right hand side of the box. He turns around and whacks a great ball across the face of the goal, but there's just no takers. I think the goalkeeper gets there first. I don't know if it's just a bad ball, actually. It can look the part, but it's not hitting anybody. He's made the wrong choice, or do we not have enough other people in the box? This whole problem again of not getting bodies in the box. A few seconds later, Moore has a kind of tame shot, easily held by the goalie after getting in a good position at the edge of that box. 56 minutes side of Motherwell is booked. That's the first Motherwell booking. A sign that we're making this half a bit stickier for our hosts. And I make the mistake, I think to myself, John Souttar's having a great game. John Souttar's having a great game. And I think it's reminding me, because it's the same. Motherwell obviously shooting towards the David Cooper stand again. It's reminding me of the pounding they gave us in the second half on the first day of the season. That Saturday evening kick-off in the sunshine. They're shooting into the same end. And I remember at that time thinking, is John Souttar defending really well? Is it good siege defending, or is it desperation defending? Is it just really bad? Rangers were just generally really bad, and John Souttar was keeping it together. He was keeping us in the game. And I was starting to see that it was less like that tonight. He had a few moments in the first half where it was brilliant last-ditch defending. He's now more controlled. He's bringing the ball out. And in the 60th minute, he gets dispossessed as he tries to step out again, kind of stylishly, and Djiga bails him out. So it's just like you can't cling on to anything, even when you start to get. But one of those games, we need another goal. Motherwell haven't threatened as much this half so far, but one slip from us, or one ball slipped through from the Motherwell, and we are up against it. 62nd minute, Diamandi is getting subbed off. I'm thinking, right, okay, that's because he's been booked, probably. Nadiri comes on. Oh, so we wanted Nadiri to be playing, but he's coming on for Diamandi. Are we seeding the midfield here? We need everybody in there. Just that's where Motherwell were starting. It was I didn't take the midfielder off for a forwards. We've got Chermiti and Nadiri playing together. I think it's dangerous to concede the midfield grounds. I don't know. We're seizing the kind of perceived chance. I don't know if Danny Röhl was I'm kind of thinking about this. Sorry, I'm pausing before I start doing that knee-jerk thing. I've already just in the few minutes since the game ended, and then coming on here, I have seen a few social media posts. It just everybody's so definite. There's a definite. I'm talking about the Rangers support here. Everybody is so definite that it's wrong, and it's always been wrong. And what did I tell you? Is that there's almost an authority in the tone of people just condemning everything outright. This is the first serious mistake that Danny Röhl has made, I would say, but I was myself. I think we've gone 4-4-2. So okay, he's gone 4 in midfield and 2 up front. That's different, but it felt as if he was maybe perceiving the fact that Motherwell's midfield challenge was over because Elliot Watt had gone off, and the first kind of 20 minutes of the second half they hadn't really penetrated us as much or outpossessed us as much as they had in the first half. Was he just going to rest Diamandi for Sunday as well? Was this the thing? Because he's really good at the gambling. And that's what I've done with Danny Röhl. I've gone on about it recently about how he can gamble. He basically rotates the squads and just knows when to take guys off the park a bit earlier than we would like, but it always seems to work out a bit, and he brings players on a bit later than we would think, but it always seems to work out for the best. And I just thought, is he going too far with this? I think he thinks we've won this game 1-0. Motherwell immediately start playing round us in midfield again. We're trying to hit Chermiti long. We're kind of lumping the ball clear up to him rather than a counter-attack. But we do have Nadiri and Chermiti on the park up front, so it's 69th minute, double substitution for Motherwell. We look tired. Hanging on at times, frankly. Is Röhl gambling again with the squad rotation, thinking we can win this game 1-0 and keep half the squad fresh for Hearts on Sunday? We need backup now, and this is up. We need backup. We need the midfield at least to get plugged up. One of the Motherwell subs is Sparrow. Is it Tom Sparrow, the Welsh player, who scored the winner against us, I think less than a year ago at Ibrox? So he scored against us anyway when Motherwell beat us 2-1 under Barry, and that's one of the things. That was a bad day because a couple of boys sitting near me were just about fighting. And by boys, I mean guys in their 40s and 50s. We're just about fighting at that game, but it wasn't about the performance on the park. But I just remember coming away. I don't really remember much about that. I know we get beat 2-1 and Hibs beat us then, but it was transition. Barry's just there to look after the team till we get the new manager in. I don't remember being that upset. And here we've drawn Motherwell, and we're all raging. We're all absolutely. I don't know. Is that perspective? I don't know. But 73rd minute, Nadiri kind of holds up Motherwell in midfield. He holds up the ball well, and Motherwell in midfield to the edge of the box. He's doing that thing. He's running around the edge of the box, trying to pick up balls that he can then feed into Chermiti. He plays it out to Tav, Nadiri, and he overhits it down the wing. A kind of curved ball down the wing to the byline to Mikey Moore. Mikey Moore gets there and he whips it in just before it hits the byline. And Chermiti is close. He's running into the front post and he tries to get the front. He's close to reprising his first goal at Parkhead. And then he asks the Bears behind the goal, "Come on, let's get some noise from you. We need your back." And he's fucking delusional. He's not close enough. You've done nothing. You've scored 4 goals for us, big man. I don't know. I was getting a bit angry. 73rd minute, Judy Gassama is subbed off. It's the 78th minute before Fernandes actually gets to come on. He takes so long to come off Gassman. I'm thinking, I want to think that he's wasting time. He's been cynical, and he's been street smart, he's been professional. That's fine. Diamandi was certainly doing that. I thought he was going to get, but he was really pushing it with Stephen McLean. Diamandi, he was taking so long to come off. The ref's up practically pushing him off. Thought he might just book you again, and we don't get anybody on to replace you. That's he might send you off, but Gassama was just taking forever, and he was like, I think it was a genuine huff. He was genuinely upset at the fact he was getting taken off, and I have no idea why. I stick up for Gassama. I think he's a fantastic talent. He did bugger all tonight. Absolutely nothing. And that's why we're so angry, because we've got so many options on the bench. And it was Fernandes, Big Emmy Fernandes is coming on for Gassama. No, Gassama, who'd been played wide left and wide right, I think, tonight. And we're bringing on a centre half, so we're going 5 at the back. No, the 3 at the back, as we call it, but it's 5 really when it comes to defensive situation. We're going to try and see this. We need more midfield. We can't invite this Motherwell team onto us. And yep, that's 3 centre halves. We're not taking any centre halves off. We're taking off an attacking option, and it's just, I don't know. It seems insane to me. But then in the 76th minute, as if Danny Röhl's ready to perfection, Magoma's just been booked for time wasting as well, and it's far too early. It's like 75, 76 minutes. There's going to be like 5-10 minutes of injury time. So it's basically 20 minutes to go. It's far too early to be starting wasting time. Magoma's been booked for time wasting. Motherwell are getting really ratty about it. And I think that's what leads to Lucas Vandinger just taking out Mikey Moore late and crudely, kind of run about the halfway line, just over towards the technical areas on our right wing. It's a yellow straight away. And that Steve McLean runs over and ministers a yellow straight away. Is that I'm booking him straight away? Is that the kind of that's going to stave off any fights or any repercussions? Yeah, I made a strong decision. You made a weak decision, but you just made it in a really kind of strong, plastic sort of strong way. Goes to VAR and he's told that's a red card, mate. He goes and reviews it and it's a red card. It's a horrible tackle. He's right up onto his ankle, studs up, and I think the way Fandinger walks away after he makes a tackle kind of tells us all we need to know. But Motherwell have spirit. They've got a bit of nastiness about them. This could be setting them up for another fairy tale chapter this season, ruining Rangers' title hopes. well, they'll get 10 men on the park. I was thinking that pretty much straight away. 79th minute, Nadiri, edge of the box, out to Tav, great ball into Chermiti on the penalty spots, and he connects with it. Big Youssef does connect with it, but not well enough. Again, it's not good enough. Nadiri is creating. We could do with him in the box to put away these chances. As news comes in of a late Celtic winner from a newer signing than we've got, it makes it more likely that Motherwell will be ruining this night for us, making the night for themselves. We don't want to be too petty about it. We look like we're too confident. We think we can just see this out at 1-0. Lots of kind of performative possession and movement, but no real incision. It was a really, really uncomfortable feeling. Mikey Moore wins another kind of free kick at the edge of their box on the left hand side. He's been getting kicked off the park all night. Tav hits the free kick wide. It's one of those moments where it's like, we're 1-0 up against 10 men. We've got a free kick outside their box. There's only about 5-6 minutes of normal time left. It's just past the post, just over the bar. We'll get another shot. Jens Bertel Askew is complaining after the game about us fouling them and ruining the spectacle. That's this kind of moralistic shit. That's not a direct quote, but that's basically saying like they were the ones trying to play football. Did you see our goal? Did you see the football from start to finish? The goal we scored, they kind of kicked us about two. Jens Bertel Askew gets sent off in his debut for Millwall. He got loaned out to Millwall by Norwich, and he went in 2-footed on Yakubu. And it's so bad, he just never played in English football. Millwall didn't pick him again. Norwich didn't play him again. Didn't play in English football ever again, but nah, I bet not be too bitter about it. He could be a next manager. Nah, he's into the small team thing, he's been to work at Ibrox. Mikey Moore wins another free because at the edge of the box. Tav just puts it over. 86th minute, double substitution for Motherwell. That'll be responded by a triple substitution. Sterling, Asgard, and Majowski. I can see, but Tav goes off, Mikey Moore goes off, Chermiti goes off, so we're keeping the same shape with the 3/5 at the back, but keeping the same kind of pre-transfer window, pre-Ant-Man rehabilitation attacking core. Asgard's smiling. He's smiling at, is it Moore, whoever who's trudging off, and it's that kind of, it's like the Seattle Seahawks in the last quarter or the last half of the Super Bowl on Sunday night. That kind of, we're changing the teams. The defense is coming on, the offense is coming on. It's all high fives. This game's won. This game's done. That game was won early. That game was won at that point. This not the special teams coming on. We're going to kick the point after touchdown, but it was fucking 1-0 up against Motherwell. 86th minute. It's soccer, man. It's soccer. 87th minute, within 30 seconds of coming on, Majowski kicks the ball away when it goes dead. A free kick. We're time wasting. He gets booked for it, and quite rightly, but he's quite right to kick it away as well. Because Motherwell they've got 10 men. And we've had options since they went down to 10 men. We've made substitutions, triple substitution. We're keeping Romans and Skov Olsen in reserve. We've got the extra man, but we're keeping these guys. Paying the price. You'd think Skov Olsen was tailor-made to come on and just go at Motherwell when they're a man down. We pay the price. 2 Motherwell corners, they're crossing from wide, they're crossing from deep. Our wing-backs, that's the whole point of having 3 centre-halves on. Your wing-backs are then spare in these scenarios. We're letting Motherwell have the ball in the flanks. They're working it. They have that moment, they have the header. Whoever it is a header at the back post over towards the main stand side. They lump a ball in there. Jack Butland saves it. The guy should have scored. But I'm not in any way kind of, thank God for that. It's like, this is it. This is it coming. And the other corner on either side, and they're just working it around the park. They're working it back, working it down the flanks without any hassle from us, despite having the wing backs, and the centre halves, despite us having the extra man. At one point, it goes back towards almost the halfway line, and they send a big diagonal to like the kind of back of the goal, the back end of the box, just outside the 6-yard box. John Sterling gets out-jumped in a kind of back post area, and it gets nodded down, and John Schuster can't quite get there in time, and it's Stephen Welsh. I think he plays for Celtic. I think he's actually on loan for Celtic. I don't know if MD mentioned that. And he kind of half volleys it and does the wee bounce thing, and it goes in. The way they always go in like this. They always go in against Rangers in the last minute, and you see them coming for miles. You've seen the goals coming from miles away, and it always goes in off a post. So you get a little moment. Is it going to hit the post? No, it's just crept in over the line. That's what we get again. We never score the late equaliser. It's always just we did at Tannadice for this season. It's just it feels like it's been this way since 2012. You know, the push. It's always. Remember we drew 3 each. It's the first time Steven Gerrard went to Fir Park, and they were battering us over the line and stuff like that, and knocking guys' teeth out and things. And it was in the last kick of injury time. It's always that kind of shit. There was 6 minutes of injury time in this one. It's been coming that goal, that equaliser, since. I don't know, since we took off Diamandi, really. And it's certainly been coming since I think it's been coming since we took lead. They took lead in the game. 6 minutes of injury time. We huff and puff. There was a few kind of free kicks from us. I think we got a corner as well, but we're looking a bit clueless. It's all kind of sharpness. All the sharpness and the accuracy and the cohesion is gone. 10-man Motherwell may yet get a chance to win the actual game on the break if we get any worse at this. Motherwell haven't played in February. We look like we've played every day of February. We do look like a side that's played 14 European games, all brutal this season. I know Motherwell had the League Cup group stage to play or whatever, but at this point in the game, you can definitely see that's. I think Paul McGinn was saying after the game that they were basically the only reason Rangers scored, really, as far as he was concerned, because they hadn't played in February. They're a bit rusty. It's bitter stuff. The aftermatch stuff from Motherwell, but fuck them. Antman and Skov Olsen, they're fresh as daisies, and they're sitting there unable to interfere in this game at all. We've made the wrong subs and the wrong tactics. We tried to go with an extra striker and an extra defender when the midfield has been Motherwell's core strength all game and all season. Played really well, Motherwell. Really, 66% possession or something like that. Basically, we had 1/3 of possession in this game. We're comprehensively outpossessed. Is it a worse version of what we did in August? We drew one each under Russell Martin in the first day of the season back in August. I think it was just different. It was more insidious tonight, I felt. Back in August, it was like, I can see what Russell Martin's trying to do at times. It's not quite working just now. We've got a few players out of position, and it'll take a while to bed in. But nah, it's looking all right. Second half, Motherwell are going to absolutely destroy us. And then Russell Martin destroyed his team in the post-match interviews. This is exciting. This is interesting. Tonight, it was just... This is going to be a tough game. We're doing okay. We don't really know how to handle this. And I think they're going to equalise if we don't get... they're doing it to 10 men. They're still going to equalise. They've equalised. This is horrible. It looks kind of like what we've been doing for years now. You know, we get the first goal or take the lead in a game, then it's no even that we can't quite get the next goal. It's that we don't look like we even know how to get the next goal. We suddenly lose all interest in attacking, and there's a little soupçon. There's more than a soupçon. A large dash of kind of, we'll see this out. I've seen it so many times. It's like they kind of have the body language of a team who needs to believe they can see the game out, so they start acting like somebody who can see the game out, which makes them less capable of seeing a game out. But a single goal win, we never get the second. You know, we've had a glut of... That's garbage. We've had a glut of goals in our last 2 domestic games. 4 of the players responsible for many of those goals, scoring or assisting, aren't starting tonight. They didn't start in the game tonight. Skov Olsen, Romans, Antman aren't featuring at all. We put 3 past Dundee, eventually scored a couple of goals in injury time, which is a good sign when you keep going to the end of the game. Ibrox beat them 3-0 Dundee. Then it was, after the loss in Porto, there was a 0-0 at Easter Road. Then it's 13 past Queen's Park and Kilmarnock. And then it's a draw. It's the draw tonight. I thought at Easter Road, we thought that it felt like it was going to be the last bad day away from home, because it was the last day without all of our new signings being match fit or arrived. Kelly and Queen's Park were kind of warm-ups for those new signings, and for tonight. We expected Tav and Sterling to kind of swap over these 2 games against Motherwell and Hearts. I thought Sterling might start tonight, but Tav was picked. So it should be doing on Sterling playing against Hearts. We expected that kind of variation in the team, but Motherwell, these 2 games against Motherwell and Hearts, but we can't afford not to start with Skov Olsen tonight. That didn't happen at all, did it? I think tonight illustrated the speed and the sharpness with which Motherwell moved the ball tonight kind of illustrated perhaps why we didn't start these players, the new signings, but to not bring them on in the second half, particularly when we're a man up, just looks like a massive mistake. Trust me, to go on and on. I say about an extended spiel. I think it was last night's preview pod, and it's not the first time I've talked about it this season. Danny Röhl's brilliant squad rotation, and the gambling that's involved in that, like putting on Clinton and Ciala at 2-0 up versus St Mirren, immediately conceding one goal, but hanging on to see it out so both Sterling and Suter were kind of rested and sharp enough and fit enough for the full 90 minutes at Parkhead. Perfect. Now, combining that, the idea that he was overly concerned with squad rotation tonight, only without getting the game won against Motherwell, and not about getting the game won. Combining that with the wee kind of things Danny Röhl was saying to Emma Dodge, Stephen Craig, and Alan Hutton on the pitch side on Premier Sports on Sunday. No, we're possibly 2 games away from going top of the table. What the fuck? I mean, I was last night when I was doing the preview pod, I was kind of, why shouldn't he say that? Why shouldn't he be positive? But is it maybe it's just the German thing? Is it, you got to be careful saying that kind of stuff in Scotland, though. Seeming like you're getting ahead of yourself. It's just so unusual to see him being excitable. But also a bit concerning. And if you want to get worked up about Danny Röhl, start getting negative about him, then yeah, this is the time to do it. I think we're all entitled to a doubt here after this game. We're entitled to have a major doubt about Danny Röhl after this one. Not a major doubt as far as I'm concerned, but he's going to get a bollocking for this from the support. This has to be a learning moment for him. For me, I said it a few times. I thought there was a real chance we could draw this game and beat Hearts, and maybe the only way we beat Hearts is to not win tonight. It absolutely isn't the draw with Motherwell tonight. It's the way it happened. Danny Röhl cannot come out and praise the draw the way he did after the game on Sky. He has to be droll, he has to be visibly raging. Yes, he didn't come out and praise the draw, but he was kind of trying to slip it in there. Maybe getting a point here's not a bad thing. I don't think it actually is. But he has to change his pattern from Easter Road. It was the same after the draw at Easter Road. He should let the disappointment sink in for a day, and he then, in private, to the players only, and maybe to his staff, he tells them a draw is a very respectable result at Fir Park this season, and he, kind of makes damn sure with a maximum of 15 games left that he only plays his best side from the start every game from now on. This was his last midweek game for months. That, will help, and that perhaps makes his last bit of kind of squad rotation in extremis acceptable. Celtic lost here, Fir Park. Hearts drew here at Fir Park. Kilmarnock are getting better on the plastic, doing it Ayrshire, and that's where Celtic have to head on Sunday before we host Hearts. But obviously Livingston are getting a bit better, although we've beat them 2-1 home and away. Everybody beats Livingston 2-1. They may be getting a bit better just in time for us going to the plastic at Livingston, but we host Hearts, and Celtic will have to win at Kilmarnock to go above us before we kick off, but they do have a game in hand and are only a point behind us. Motherwell aren't a million miles behind us in fourth and also have a game in hand. They're delighted though, despite these claims to the contrary, we should have won the game, and that. They couldn't even say our name, I don't think, in the post-match reactions of Sky, but we're gutted. Motherwell were delighted with that draw, and we're gutted. We could see Hearts win the league on Sunday, basically, if they beat us, but I'd rather they felt 5 points ahead of us going into the game. Hearts, that kind of safe way. They feel overly safe after a really tempestuous Edinburgh derby, or a heavy-duty derby in the rain at Tynecastle. I'd rather they felt kind of safe from us, and they'd something to prove. We've got something to prove going into this, our last game, before we start on a run of glorious midweek breaks. The clocks will have gone forward the next time we play on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and it's good to know after the clocks seem to go scarily backwards tonight. A spooky tale that'll need a much clearer, kind of punchier ending. 2 doctors, 2 points dropped. It'll haunt us until Sunday tonight, but hopefully not much longer. The haunted have got to get back to being the hunters.